Hello, hello, and welcome along to what is both the beginning and the end of a new chapter and the last chapter. Deletion has become something that is vastly complicated to DM, way too convoluted to produce anything for, and basically just a burden for me, despite the players still being invested in enjoying it. We have decided to draw it to a close. We spent almost 2 hours shooting the shit and exposing different parts of the storyline, and I will be more than happy to answer any of the questions in the comments, but I'm not going to go into any details here. However, we did think it might be nice to do our traditional questions to each of the players. So I will start with Josh and ask you, what did you like about playing Vulgo?
Well, first of all, I like Genie Warlock is one of my favorite subclasses, so getting to play that was a lot of fun. But I also really like playing like quite selfish, self-involved character that doesn't come from a place of like ego, because it's like that's kind of like the one that is the obvious choice, but to instead come from like he's like so scared of everything around him that his only thing to grasp onto is self-preservation. That was a really fun thing to play with in such a dangerous world, and with such dangerous people around. And it was, I really liked the contrast between him and then the other characters in the party.
Yeah. And what about mechanically? You just quite enjoy the mechanics of Vulgo?
I like Warlocks, like full stop. Genie Warlock is it's a very, very cool subclass. Obviously, it's a little disappointing that I didn't get to go further in it. But yeah, who doesn't love like jumping into a lamp to avoid social gatherings and things,
And my last question regarding Vulgo is, did you have any long-term plans for him or hopes for him throughout
I hoped he'd survive.
Sure, that's a pretty good goal in Mark Deletion.
I think long term, to survive. I also think I don't know. I think I always envisioned him. I always envisioned it that the campaign wouldn't end well for us, and so in my
we were marking Deletion in real life.
But I think when I thought about what does the end look like, he'd be in another country, in the middle of nowhere, in a little dinky shop that he ran, disguised as someone else, and would spend
still disguised.
Yeah, and would spend like sleeping, because at that point you can be in your lamp for quite a long time. So he would spend all of his time, if he wasn't working in the shop, in his lamp out of fear that he would be caught. And so it's not a great ending.
Sad life. Sad life.
Jesus. All right. Well, on that heavy note, Mikayla, what did you enjoy about playing Paisley?
Well, as I think I've said, Paisley is basically just me. So it was fun to just, she's maybe me, but like a little bit meaner. So it was fun to just say the first thing that came into my mind and kind of, really, put a lot of myself into this character who is just kind of an underachiever, pretty chill. But still, it generally cares about the people around her and stuff. And I really liked the kind of shenanigans we got up to. I guess this is not Paisley specific, but just as a party. I like how she fit in with the guys, kind of like one of the boys, one of the bros.
She was that. Did you have any long-term plans for her future?
Long-term plans for her future? No.
Not become a game developer?
Well,
Paisley didn't either. Paisley was living it day by day, too.
No, literally, I was about to say, Paisley didn't plan for the future, and neither did I. I was trying to maybe date Aisha's brother. That was about it, as far as I got.
I had that on the cards. as a potential possibility. I was well aware. Good old
Yeah, she
Avalon.
lives in the moment very much so. But, I could have seen Paisley growing into, like, a proper Creatures of Peace revolutionary type, given enough time and character development. I could have seen her going that way.
Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah.
Pat.
What about mechanically?
Oh yeah, true. What about mechanically?
Mechanically, I know, yeah, that was what I wanted from her. I really liked being like a little. She was like with her goblin stuff. She was kind of like a half rogue, so it was like fun, That was kind of like why I went fighter ultimately, because like, she could still run away and be long range, but
It's
do
very
her
ironic.
thing. It was so tense with how. so tense with how often my gun would misfire, but it was always kind of fun when I had to fall back onto her shitty slingshot or something. I thought that was just something fun for her to hold on to her old childish weapon.
It was very ironic that you were a fighter that was a half rogue, and our rogue was basically a fighter. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, I really liked that
dichotomy.
Our
Speaking of
rogue
which,
tank.
Pat, what did you enjoy about playing Brozzig?
Well, I did not enjoy playing him mechanically because I don't want to be a rogue anymore. Like you said, I loved the strength-based rogue and then dex fighter. Like I liked that, but then in practice, I didn't enjoy being a rogue. That Ruffian class just seemed super cool, but I was not playing Brozzig. I'm gonna hide and then I'm gonna do that. Like he's just running in and punching things, so he should just been a fighter probably.
Yeah.
Or a barbarian or something.
Or a monk,
but
nobody wants to play those.
yeah, exactly. Like, monk would have actually worked, but what are you gonna do? I did like playing him in RP though, because I liked having the sort of anchor of he's all about family, right? Like that's his deal, and then everything else just sort of sprung from that. His impulsiveness and his overprotectiveness and his anger sometimes, I guess. Like it all stemmed from being with this group of people and his relationship with them and being taken into the collusion and that relationship and everything. So I thought that was fun.
Did you have any long-term plans for him for the future?
He would have
Just
died
death
for sure.
Yeah.
He'd be
Yeah,
always
when
said
Pat had
already-
enough of him in combat, just like fuck it, I'm gonna kill this guy.
Well, exactly. He makes the wrong play, but like his life he'd given up, right? Like his mom had died, like was on the run. He'd been a janitor for like 40 years. Like he'd already given up. So I think this is like a second chance for him. So he was gonna do that to the fullest and probably burn out quick, right? So
Kinda cool.
hopefully, it'd be in a blaze of glory, protecting one of his family.
I kind of like the fact that a player has a long-term view that their character should die. Like I kind of that's pretty cool.
The way I was
Like,
playing
we
him,
don't
that's
get that
100%.
enough. We
where he
don't
was
get that
going.
enough. Rico, what did you enjoy about playing Oleg?
Well, I mean, definitely, like many people, I'd say most of our characters have some semblance of us in them. And so, like, Oleg was a little bit of me. He was definitely a know-it-all, kind of like an older brother, but like not so involved. Like, cared, but like didn't really care, right?
Yeah.
And I sort of like I don't think we ever really delved much into Oleg's backstory or past, and that was like by choice because he's a very guarded person, and so it was kind of nice to like sort of keep that facade up of like everything's cool. But
Did you have a deep dark secret you want to share with us now?
Well, that
we're
a
done?
deep dark secret. I don't know that it was a secret, but Oleg was an orphan, and so everything that like Oleg was striving for was just like was right in front of him. It was you guys. It was this family, and it was just like this is all that Oleg was living for. Like he was completely happy existing, working at this mundane job for this plastics company, living in this shitty little apartment because it was just like he had never experienced like a home to come home to and like brothers and sisters and whatever.
Drunk uncles.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it mechanically?
Actually, so when I decided to go Artificer, I was really weary about it because I was like, I don't know how this is gonna play out. I never really liked half casters other than Paladin, but Paladin's sort of different because you can smash the shit out of things. But I really deeply enjoyed playing Oleg mechanically. I had never used so many magic items, and like like single use
yeah.
or like expendable magic.
I've really
items.
enjoyed that side of
Or-
it. I really would love to see that done again. Like it was,
Yeah. It was
so much.
it was
fun.
so awesome because it was like because a lot of the time like my biggest worry was like, all right, I have such limited spell slots and I had rolled terrible like physical statistics, so I was like, I'm not gonna be useless.
You were
in
given
combat.
pretty shitty statistics, I think, is what you.
Yeah. But then as I accumulated stuff, I was like, well, no, like this, I can use these like what? I guess the thing is in the most high fantasy games that we play, it's like you want to save your crazy magical like items and stuff for like big fights and whatever. Whereas Oleg was just like, yeah, every fucking battle, I'm just gonna throw out this wand and that wand and this thing.
Well,
It was just like
super versatile too. Like you were doing a little bit of everything in every fight.
exactly a lot of CC or even just like damage, a little bit of, it was really cool.
I also really liked that his signature became basically a set of slippers and a bunch of friends. Right?
Yeah.
That was just you.
I really
you were slippers of spider climbing and some dudes that do other things.
So I wanted Oleg eventually to take on the nickname Oleg the Spider.
Mhm.
Oh wow!
I had this weird moment where you had 8 robot friends in that thing. I also had Oleg the Spider with his 8 robot friends in my mind at some point. Did you have any long-term plans for him? And I suppose I would include D4 and Lenny in that.
Well, so I don't know if this is more long-term or short-term, but I really wanted to delve into the Jozoko sort of hook and sort of go into that. Not so much because Bex was sort of tied to it, but that was definitely a factor. But just because it just seemed like, Jozoko was this mad scientist and Oleg was sort of like an aspiring mad scientist, and so it just seemed to go hand in hand.
If someone hadn't told us you're definitely gonna die if you go see him, maybe we would have went.
It was a level 9 dungeon. I don't want you guys to face it quite too soon.
Fair,
It made
fair.
sense, right? Because he was such an end player, but yeah.
Of course.
Just a side note, Rico, I wanted to tell you about your gun. If you made it, basically when you first got it, it would have a 5-round cooldown. But did 3, I think it was 4d12 radiant damage off the bat on one attack.
Nice.
But then it had a 5-round cooldown.
And
Then as you leveled up, it would become a 4-round cooldown, a 3-round cooldown, a 2-round cooldown, and finally a 1-round cooldown. And if once I think it was 17, you would have been able to fire it every attack. So it was just like I just had this laser cannon with this huge, like it would just smoke and wait and and crystals. Yeah, exactly. So that was what was in my mind with that crystal gun.
And then like long term, like it was basically getting through this with you guys and staying together.
Yeah,
realistically.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess before we move on to asking a couple of other questions, I should really say what I liked about people's characters. For me, it's always interesting seeing which aspect of Josh I'm going to see in a character. With a lot of my players, right? I don't know them well enough to know what part of them they might put into another character, right? And each character is a reveal of another part of them. Whereas with Josh, each character is a reveal of another part of them that I already know, right? Or hope so, like he's my husband. So it's really interesting with Vulgo to see you play the social anxiety right up. But then play it as like a normal, I don't know if that's the right word. I don't want to, it's very standardly portrayed anxiety that you don't tend
It never
to actually
felt
suffer.
exaggerated. It never felt
No, it
exaggerated.
never did, but it's not something like,
quite natural.
Josh has never been somebody, you hide your anxiety very well and Vulgo doesn't. So
Well,
it
and
was really
Vulgo's
interesting.
anxiety is very different to mine.
It's more
Although, but
archetypal,
I have that anxiety of it dying, so
Yes.
that's where that connection comes from.
But no, it was really interesting to see that element. Typically, it doesn't make for a good hero character. That anxiety,
no.
and that's why it was really, really well chosen for this campaign. I will say that the arc of choosing a Warlock patron has been one of my favorite things I've ever done in D&D.
It was
and
fun.
also, I will never ever do it again.
I was gonna say, I really hope that we
Well,
do this again, where we find
You
classes
will.
and subclasses.
You will have patrons in the world to whom you may one day become warlockificated in the high fantasy world. But the sheer amount of work
No, I
that
know
goes
it's a
into
lot.
putting that many patrons in the world, like it was so much fun, and I'll never do it again. Unless we do a
Sure.
short campaign where we just have 4 players seeking patrons, and that's the whole campaign. When they found them, it's
Love
over.
that.
Might do that one day, but nothing more. Paisley, I suppose, sort of just echoing something I just said. Obviously, I've got to know Mikayla a little better than some of my other players because we spend 4 days a week together and have done for 3 years, which is quite nice. So there is this sort of like, there's always a theme with people's characters, right? But with Mikayla, the theme is always that you're this person with this edition or that edition or the other edition. With Paisley, you sort of went on Mikayla with, fuck the editions, I just want a gun.
Yeah,
with a
love
gun.
that.
Mikayla
it's Mikayla with a gun. Yeah, and I really liked that she just sort of, she wasn't comedic relief, but she was just relief, if that makes sense. She was just, I injected such a slice of normality into such a frightening world that actually it made the world more frightening, right? The fact that she just sort of, you know, I mean, all her references were shit she'd seen off TV or read in a book or playing the game. Like, I really enjoyed that sort of normality in such a scary world. I think that was really cool.
And I think especially just on top of that, with Vulgo and Brozzig being so over the friggin' top a lot of the time, it was nice to have that calming, like just
100%.
level sort of attitude in the party.
Ironically, Pat, I loved Brozzig mechanically. I have always wanted somebody to just hit people with a stick. I think that's just, you know, it's just a real good basis. I love that in such a world of guns and technology, he just offered a good bit of beatdown in a typical dwarvish fashion, and I really enjoyed that side of him, and I loved beating him up. As you may have noticed. But also, I just think that this sort of... I'm quite a weird person, and my movie taste is quite varied and quite bad, from according to most people. One of my favorite movies of all time is the original Fast and Furious. Which might make me a bad person. But Dominic Toretto is a character I identify very closely with. I think I really enjoy his style. And to me, that was Brozzig throughout. He was he was the Vin Diesel family meme for the whole campaign, but from a place of real heart. And I loved that. I will really miss Brozzig waxing lyrical about his mother. Like, that's just, that's just something that I love. And honestly, Rico, I'm just going to echo everything you said. I just think that Oleg was he's just so cool. He just used the things and did the things. And like, it was so fun to chuck you like odd magical objects that people were like, nah, I don't want that. And Oleg was like, I'll find a use. I love...
James, you were also chucking him random encounters too. And he was just handling that too. Throwing him a giant gorilla. To hit on him, throwing a dark elf at him, and Rico's just handling everything.
Well, you know, I mean, I think that's another. I'm going to come back to something in a second, but I think that's
Sorry, I didn't mean
thing.
to interrupt.
No, I mean, it's another part of. And I really will come back to the point. One of the other things I really enjoyed with Oleg was this throwaway D4 Ender was literally meant to be a throwaway. They're going to a cave and he hasn't got a subclass yet. He's going to get a subclass by the end of it. So here's a pet so that you can play with it, right?
Yeah.
And then you just adopted him.
Yeah.
And he is just an idiot in my head. He's just an idiot who doesn't really want to do what he's told and just likes rolling around and bopping shit with a hammer. And you were like, yeah, I'll have him. And I was like, really?
Mm-hmm.
There could have been so much depth to this. And you're like, nah, man. I'm the guy with a hammer and a ball.
That's how it always happens.
Well, then that goes back to him being an orphan and being abandoned, and it was just like, well, before was just
really
like
cute.
abandoned robot in the corner,
is
and it's like I didn't want to just like throw him back into the garbage. Like I'm
True.
gonna take him in.
I did have more fun playing Lenny than any other NPC in this entire campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe except for Yorsh. If Yorsh's voice didn't hurt so much, I did enjoy that as well. The predatory devil with a heart of gold. That is literally what his tagline is on my GM notes.
Oh, that's funny.
Predatory demon, sorry, with a heart of gold. But playing Lenny was just so much fun. That guy was toxic as shit. He's just a little dude with a lot of sass. And I just,
I love the Lenny and Ender. I love the Lenny
you gave me that.
rivalry.
And I love that. One thing I do want to circle back to before I ask you guys about your favorite parts of the campaign. It's a bit of an accolade to Pat. And as I was saying that I've played with Mikayla for 3 or 4 days a week for the best part of 3 years. I've married Josh for the best part of 6 years. We've been married for 6 years. So obviously I know him very, very well. And Rico and I have been playing together since 2021. And for quite a lot of that, you've been in and out of a secondary campaign alongside it. So, you know, I spent a lot of... Can you please calm the fuck down? Like, what is going on? Like, there's balls on the floor, there's...
Getting worked up.
You're trying to murder a kitchen roll, like a... I don't know what you guys call it, a paper towel. Which doesn't make any sense, because it's a roll of paper towel, if you will. Anyway. Yeah, and Pat, you came in fresh for this pre-campaign, and we were going to have 5, and you were enough of a person that 4 was good enough. And it's been such a pleasure to be able to trust you as much as I trusted the other 3 at the table to take up a role and to fill it. I don't normally pick one person in particular, but these guys get enough accolades in their other campaigns. I'm really glad that Brozzig and Pat was on board, and hopefully will be on board for the foreseeable future. If you never see him again, he left the server after this call and never responded.
That he hates us.
Deleted. I've been deleted. No, I mean, you guys make it easy. Like, you guys are just fun people to hang out with, even when I'm overwhelmed by the story and too much stuff going on. I don't know what's happening.
We're keeping it simple.
You just fall back.
Whatever we do with the next campaign, we're keeping it simple. But
this
yeah,
was also like my first campaign with Rico as well, and I had a lot of fun with you two guys.
Whilst you guys know each other,
of course I know
on the server. Well. Yes, that is true. Josh was the link.
Yeah, so it was just awesome.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a good matching.
Yes. We gelled well in real life, and then I think our characters everybody found their roles there too.
Mm-hmm.
I think
and listen, no offense to Salty, but I think that
we made the right decision. Well. No, we made the right decision.
We made the right decision.
It was there was enough with you 4. You all talk enough, and there's enough of you there, and perhaps slightly older heads, and that it made sense. But I mean, I guess I'm not sure that, unlike a lot of campaigns, I'm not sure I regard Martha Deletion as a failed run. An ambitious project, yes.
I don't think so.
If I hadn't got a job, I think this campaign went through to the end. Unfortunately, it was more the workload than anything else that put it aside. I think it's also unique in that whilst I have been the one to scrap most campaigns in the past, most of them I've scrapped because they failed or because I didn't get from the table what I hoped. This has been such the opposite. I got so much more from the table that I wanted to do them justice, and I wanted to do the story justice. And it is a world that I think is very interesting, and I would love for somebody else to take up and ask me questions about run a campaign in one day. But and I may well, because I do have world building sort of books, if you will, on the website with information. I may well release that into the ether and allow other people to play in the world of Urxos. But for me, it was just a scene too big. However, it was filled with quite a lot of fantastic moments, fantastic memories, fantastic episodes. And as such, I think there's quite a lot of highlights. Pick a few. And they don't have to be big moments. They don't have to be NPC or DM moments. They can definitely be like party moments. That can and should be party moments. I'll go to Mikayla. What stood out for you in Martha Deletion as a whole, and were there any highlights or particular moments that you remember fondly or particularly enjoyed?
I'm just kind of scanning my old MVPs, but like we said, I really liked our party dynamic. I think we felt together as like a cute little family, so that was fun. Also, the kind of expanding that as we spent more time with the collusion and became like very close with them. I really liked a lot of like the just hanging out we did, like the festivals and parties and going to the club with the NPCs and stuff. That stuff was it was a lot of fun. With also made it so sad when Dylan, our boy, was taken out. That
I think that might be one of the hardest episodes I've ever run. Like losing Dylan, I got emotional doing that.
I mean, you could have ended it there, and that would have been a sad ending, but it would have been a very fitting ending. Us getting kicked out of the collusion, our friends dying, and then being like, "You're on your own, figure it out." That would have been a crazy ending, but you could have ended it there, and it would have been very appropriate. I did
2 episodes later. Sorry, Mikayla.
Yeah. Oh no, it was just pretty much just going off of that. So just the times that we spent role playing our characters, hanging out with each other. Which party? Where we had those like weird drinks. Oh, I think it was like that parade or something.
Oh
where
yeah. When you guys went
We dressed up as hot dogs.
Uh,
we were dressed as hot dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
it's based on the Dia de los Muertes, I think it's called.
Yep.
Muerto.
Muertos, sure.
Yeah.
It was based on that, but it was just a bit of silly fun really, but it definitely you guys
Yeah, I
took
feel
it
like
to
we
another
had
level.
a good amount of silly fun despite how, tense the
We had
setting
to.
was overall.
It was so
Yeah.
depressing otherwise.
Exactly.
Rapture, a celebration of hedonism, pleasure,
Mhm.
and luxury. The time for music, singing, and traditionally a masked ball, Rapture is being celebrated globally. In Anakesia, it is a time of liberating parties with very few boundaries and lots of reckless abandon.
Mm-hmm.
It was that.
Yeah. Loved it.
Rico,
Yes.
what do you enjoy about the campaign? What any messages stood out to you?
So just to touch briefly on what Mikayla was saying, it was almost as if we were like this very fucked up vision of the nuclear family, where Brozzig was like the overbearing mom, and Oleg was kind of like the dad who didn't care that much.
That's fair.
And then they had the two kids who were just like, like one is a
That's so funny.
bookworm and the other one is kind of like a nerd who plays video games all day. And it was just beautiful. Like completely, like even just sitting in Ship's apartment, and those scenes where we would be joined by one of our sort of watchmen and, just eating lunch or dinner together or sitting in the cafe. Those were great moments.
Yeah.
But really, I think someone mentioned earlier we only had like 28 episodes or something. It
Yeah.
feels like we did so much.
You did.
I mean, like
Yeah.
if you really think
Yeah,
about
we
it,
did.
we fought a dragon. We did
You
that.
did do that.
We tackled
We
in the
sure
wizard's
did.
tower.
You did do that.
Yeah.
Right? We did that.
You
Like-
released.
Oh yeah, I
you
love the
released a little.
dungeon.
You released MJ2. Was it? What was his name? Taylor.
CJ,
TJ.
CJ.
Yeah, into the world.
Cloaker Jr.
Yeah, Coca Junior.
Closer
dungeon,
Junior.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else did we do?
Yeah, we murdered a baby troll. Yep, that
Mhm,
happened too.
mhm. We infiltrated a cultist.
Or
We
baby Cyclops.
infiltrated a cultist base and almost took out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like we did so much stuff in what, and to me it felt like we played
And
for
chased a
much
lot of
longer
leads.
than-
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
definitely. So like
You moved at an
definitely-
exhausting pace for DM. Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
You didn't stop like
But-
at all.
But it was great. It was great. Like I didn't feel as though we were ever in a lull, or anything like that. So that was probably those are the best moments for me, definitely.
Josh.
I think two things stand out for me. One's vague. So the first one is just like all the episodes leading up to people finding their classes was so fun, especially like because I didn't know what you guys would go for. I knew that I was 100% going Warlock, and there was no way James was going to do anything to change my mind. But seeing you guys like flirt in between things was always really exciting to see, and to
Yeah.
see where you guys
We
landed.
were all getting jealous. We wanted to be warlocks too. Those first.
It was very
The
interesting.
full,
Yeah.
the full Kronks campaign almost happened.
Yeah.
I was pretty certain pre-campaign that Pap was going Ruffian. I knew that Rico was going either Armorer, Battlesmith, or potentially Arcane Gunsmith, I think. It was what was in my head.
Something like
I knew that Josh would go Genie or Undying. And I knew that Mikayla might go Ranger, Rogue, or Fighter. There was more stress involved with that than anything else. I was like, she could go anything. She might go Genie.
Yeah.
It was like, it's horrible.
So flighty.
tension. But
So
also, yeah, I
mercurial,
just,
you know?
I agree, Josh. I think they were some really fun episodes. And if I had the time and energy and I, become a millionaire and I'm shocked of a job,
Of course,
I would
it's
do it in
a
every
lot to
campaign.
Yes, and of course that's not, sustainable, but it was very exciting seeing that unfold. And the second thing that really comes to mind is the what was it, like the Tonys, the equivalent of the Tonys,
The Nova
or Golden
Awards.
Globes,
The
or
awards
the-
show.
Awards.
That's awesome.
Yeah. was-
James's least favorite session.
yeah,
Play it.
was because I think
It was hell.
I don't know if it was the
Vulgo getting
first.
shot was fucking one of the best.
Amazing.
ones.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
rough. That was a rough
Awesome.
moment.
I
but-
honestly, I will tell you, I rolled the dice to get him. It was above a 50. He was dead.
So rude.
It's just gone.
Damn.
Like boom, gun through the heart,
Holy
done.
moly.
Did you know that someone was gonna get shot?
No. I
No
don't
one's
think
supposed to be
anybody
in the
was gonna
bathroom.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
wasn't supposed
sorry
to
for
go
needing to
in.
pee.
No, it was the resistance afterwards. I'm going to make that really clear, but yes. And I also had a horrible, because I knew it was Josh. Like, I kind of wish it was anyone else. Like, I knew that if I killed Rico's character or Mikayla's character in the bathroom there, they just went, yeah, okay, fair enough, I deserve that. If I killed Josh's character, like, we could have thought about that for months. Terrible. I could live with it at home.
But also, he would have
Shut
deserved
up,
it.
Warlock. Like, I can see it in our fucking renewal of our vows in 4 years' time. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, I was not in a good place after that
Yeah,
episode.
and
but
for
I'm
that
glad you
reason,
enjoyed it.
no, but I don't know if it was the first time, but it was, one of the moments where we had to infiltrate a place and pretend to be other people whilst also getting information for this underground group that we're working with. It was very tense and
More on
exciting,
that after we
and
hang up the call. Or not hang up the call.
I
end
still
the-
believe that we were snubbed that award
We were snubbed.
personally. But that's just
I
my
love
take.
that.
Yes, the fake group did not get the fake award.
Yeah.
And Pat?
No, the magic mushroom drug trip episode just stands out.
Oh my god, our
The
very
most-
special
A
episode.
very special episode.
So
where-
Was
good.
this the end of the dungeon, the
Yes,
cave,
end
and the
of the
crystal
dungeon.
cavern, and then you went out
Yeah.
to the club
And
Yep.
it
in
ended
the
bottom
with
of-
us,
with the
mushrooms.
butler and got hit on by a gorilla.
Yes.
Yes.
and then ended with us
Yeah.
in like detox in Beck's lab, like at the
yes.
end.
Yes, this did happen. Okay.
At the end.
Like
Like that
I,
whole,
an
that
eventful
whole
I
episode.
am proud of that episode more than most of the others, purely because I had no idea any of it was going to happen. And that just
Neither
made
did
it
we.
like I had a nightclub on hand, but that was a fucking journey. That session.
Yeah,
You're
it was
right.
awesome.
When Mikayla said, "I'm calling the butler," I was like, "All right, this is the best,
Yeah.
best session."
Listen, Mikayla in real
I'm on
life
the
is a
ceiling.
notorious drunk dialer.
I'm on the ceiling, in
Paisley
the
is
bathroom, in the club. Like, yeah, no, it was too good. But I did, just as a DM as well, I will shout out a couple of your dungeons that you did that were
Dungeons
fun.
are awesome.
I like the tower. The wizard tower was neat. That
Yeah,
like
that was great.
the moral discussion at the end was really fun
Yeah.
to have as a group.
Mhm.
And the dragon, like the mines were really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm glad you
to
like them.
sort of
I
go
can
through.
take zero credit for the mines. I just stole them straight off the internet. And then
That
lowered
worked.
the enemies.
Still
damage.
random.
But yes, yeah, there is that. But
Well,
no,
I also-
it was,
I-
yeah.
I loved in the mind that the party were like, oh, we need to find these crystals. Well, they got affected by the mist, so they couldn't see them. And Vulgo wasn't. He was like, there are none. It's time to go.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
the
that
big crystal.
too.
That big crystal. There was a whole thing. Like I was like, I'd sent Jamal a message going, I've got a big crystal reward that they might get if they succeed a really high DC. Any ideas? He never replied, and I was really, really glad that you guys all failed it. Apart from Vulgo, who decided he didn't care, because I had no idea what I was doing with it. I was just sat there. I was like, I'm sure I'll think of
Right.
something. I can't give them another amethyst lodestone. That was where I was at, really. But I appreciate that, Pat. Dungeons are something I find really quite fun in D&D. I think they're always a chance to see the sort of, also to rationalize having so many combats in one long rest, right? Because a lot of the time it just makes no sense. But yeah, I mean, I think you guys have touched on a lot of the bigger moments. I'm gonna come on to some of the smaller moments that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the weight and gravitas that happened in the first few episodes, starting off at the Last Light Chapel, and then sort of finding a place to shelter. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed every single time you encountered the sad Genie and
Me too.
Jerome. I really, really enjoyed the whole thing with Dylan's mum. I think you guys gave that a lot of love and heart.
Yeah.
Leaving the burger out for Dylan. Just
Aw.
going to Burgermeister in general, and all the different random eateries and drinkeries we popped into. That you guys, just paid just enough attention to
Noodle
make
bars.
it worth my effort. So I really enjoyed that side of things. A few little, just tiny, odd moments stick out. You guys smuggling an unconscious halfling out of the mole rat tunnels was just hilarious. That was the weirdest bit of contraband I've smuggled anywhere. I think all of your rationale and choices, specifically around Rix and Hines with Yorsh and leaving him there to appease Vikasa, leaving the guy to be tortured by Luvon because you guys are a bit scared of him, and how Brozzig just kind of blitzed the drinks bar because he had nothing better to do, which was hilarious. The whole arc with Shift and Dylan, I think you guys just gave them so much love that they developed a personality all on their own. I really enjoyed that side of things. The magic mushrooms is something I was going to bring up. That was just a whole scenario of wacky. Going to beat up a bunch of gangsters in Perdition on behalf
that
of
diner
is one of the bravest things I have ever seen 4 characters do in D&D. You were like, we're going to go down into the underworld and we're going to take on a gang.
Yeah,
Like,
we're gonna teach them a lesson.
You're level 3.
We'll show them.
And we
you
did it.
Yes, Ivan needs our help. What are we supposed to do? Come on.
I also got to throw Josh through a window, which was that's just good fun.
Yeah.
I then got
That
to
was
throw a
so
small character, which is always
funny.
good fun, through a hole in a window, which was great fun. Vulgo went and sulked in the bathroom for like half the fucking session. That was also good fun. Yeah, and then just like loads of just stupid tiny moments. Alexander was such a throwaway. And you turned him into this massive
Really?
NPC.
It was
Yeah,
just so
like,
long
I
to
hadn't
go,
even
to
thought
go
about
find
seeing him,
Like,
and then you
oh
kept
God.
building up, going to see him, and I was like, well, he's got to be something now. It was he was just meant to be a bit of a crazy conspiracy theorist who had like weird knuckles of truth amongst weird nuggets of truth.
Knuckles of truth.
Nuggets of, I couldn't decide between kernels and nuggets, so I went with knuckles. Weird nuggets of truth in amongst other
Like
things.
kidnapping him and throwing him in the car was super fun. We went back.
Yeah,
and forth.
like- There was just so much. But yeah, I mean, right from episode 2, when you guys bumped into this guy, this elephant, Vic.
Oh my gosh, that really set the tone.
Well, not only that, but you guys just sort of leaving it alone. You just sort of let it go. You were like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Like, it wasn't our fault. Yeah, he got himself. Like, what can we
Oh
do about
no, it was our fault.
I mean, Rico and
I mean,
Brozzig and Oleg killed that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
But like,
you
you guys,
shot him.
like, and then when you left the guy at Luvon for the torture, you guys were so good at just going, well, that's behind us.
That's the world. That's the
and
world.
we gotta look forward. We can't look back.
I think it set a kind of sad, beautiful tone that you guys just sort of accepted that the world was a dark and sad place, and ship was dark and sad, and we just gotta have some fun while we're at it. And I
Can't save
absolutely
everyone.
loved that. So whilst it is the end, I don't think, as I said, I'm not writing this one off as a failure. I'm writing off as a journey that was fun to have. We're going to go away and discuss what's going to happen next. But in the meantime, from Oleg, from Paisley, from Brozzig, and from Vulgo, and from myself, just one last time, if you guys would like to say goodbye,
Goodbye.
Goodbye, comrade.
we shall see you soon.
And don't forget to think